Call Don right now, 682-1270.
News Talk 1270, KIML. Don Carpenter Show. Welcome back to the program. Coming up on 7:08, and we're going to go right to the phones. We're excited to have on the line the great Paula Poundstone. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, it's great to hear from you. Of course, you're going to be performing over at Heritage Center over at Camplex this Friday night at 8 o'clock, and we're excited to have you here. And I'll just warn you right off the bat, it's probably going to be pretty chilly. It's not always this cold here in Wyoming, trust me.
So I heard there's school delays. I never heard of that. I was raised in Massachusetts. We never had a school delay. It was either canceled or you went on with it. But is that so that it's a few degrees warmer by the time they get there?
Well, I think, and I don't remember that when I was growing up either. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. Every winter we'd get 3 or 4 feet of snow, and we'd still have to go to school. So I guess the kids these days have it a little bit easier than we did.
Well, no, they're going. It's delayed.
Well,
they're starting an hour later. I imagine that's so that they can, heat the building up, or the administrators do a group hug or something to get the warmth going.
Well,
I'm looking forward to going. And by the way, laughter warms up a room, so we'll be good.
Oh, well, and I will say, I don't know if you've ever seen our theater here, but
no.
You'll love it. It's a beautiful theater.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. No, I don't think I've ever been to. I've been to Wyoming, but I don't think I've ever been to Gillette, Wyoming before. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and we're excited to have you here. I'm sure everyone. I mean, we've all seen you on TV. We've seen your cable specials. We've heard you on Wait, Don't Tell Me. But I did not know this until recently. When you first got started in comedy, I mean, you really did this you did it the old-fashioned way. I mean, you traveled cross country on a Greyhound, didn't you?
Yeah, I traveled all around the country. They used to have a thing called an Ameripass, where for $150 you could go anywhere you wanted for a month. And so I lived on the bus, and it was fun, sort of. Actually, I still get excited by the sounds of a bus.
Well, at least you don't have to share it with 50 other people these days.
Yeah, no, it was good. They had comfy seats. What I would do is I would take the bus to where a destination that I actually saw it, like say Denver, and then once I got there, I would put my stuff in a locker, look at the schedule, see what time, I find a location that was 4 hours away, and see what was the last trip out to that 4 hour away destination. And I would then get that bus, go 4 hours away, and then turn around and come back to Denver. And in this way, I got my 8 hours.
Yeah,
I probably got more sleep back then than I get now.
Well, I know. We probably have you up a little bit earlier than you're used to. I guess that's the perils of doing morning radio.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I have a 16-year-old son, so it's
okay. Well,
it's good to be awake for a little bit without arguing.
Well,
it's refreshing, frankly.
Well, I mean, trust me, I have a teenage daughter. I know the deal.
Oh
I know
my
the deal.
God, it's harrowing, isn't it? It's horrible. It's one of the worst things that can happen to a person. There's just why nature does that. I have no idea. Why like for boys, anyways, their frontal lobes, which that's the organizing and reasoning part. Their frontal lobe doesn't even come in till between 25 and 30, and so sometimes I check on my son at night, and I got to tell you, there's a divot there. It has not even started.
Well, you get that. Still have that soft spot from when he was a baby, huh?
Honestly, if you put like a little slice there, you could store a spare pair of underwear. There's nothing going on that frontal lobe.
Well, yeah, I certainly know the struggle. Trust me. So it's tough sometimes. One of course, the last few years. I mean, you've been a regular on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. It's recorded in front of a live studio audience. You're obviously used to that. You're a touring comedian. You play these big theaters all the time. But this is a panel show. So, are there any special challenges to doing a panel show in front of a live crowd?
Oh, it's really fun. It's really, really, really fun. I always say that if the others didn't cheat, it would be the perfect job.
Well, and that's one of the great things about the show is, they do allow a little bit of cheating. They bend the rules every once in a while.
Well, no, Peter will give hints here and there. For those who don't know, we're talking about Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is a weekly news quiz show with 3 panelists each week, and I'm lucky enough to get to be one of those panelists on a pretty regular basis. And Peter Sagal is the host, and he does occasionally give hints. But no one ever talks about the steroids, the doping that goes on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Well, I imagine a little bit of Adderall before the show might help out. You can kind of be on top of your game there. And we all know how football players these days love the Adderall too. So I can see how that would give you an advantage.
Yeah, I specifically asked the person who gives me injections not to save the syringes because we've all seen that go south.
Well, yeah, and you might want to avoid that topic when you get up in the Seattle area as well. The Seahawks, they had their little problem with Adderall a couple years back.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so now, of course, on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, you do the stories of the week, and it's usually a lot of political stories. You get into some other stuff. We've seen so many comedians these days get backlash from one side or the other, from the left or the right, about jokes they made, but you never hear it about you. You managed to tread that line. How do you manage to talk about political stories without getting everybody all worked up? Even me, little old me here in Gillette, I'll say one thing and everybody's trying to get at me. How do you manage to do that?
I talk about politics only as I see it, of course, but one thing is I don't insist I'm right. I just insist that that's my perception. I am open to the possibility that I am incorrect. And I have no desire to. I always say to people before I launch into anything of a political nature, I always go like, look, I might say, for example, that I'm an Obama supporter, but I always say, frankly, you can support anybody you want. It's not even my business. It's just that I happen to have the microphone right now. I'm not on a campaign swing. I'm a little joke teller. And do I think there's a lot of truth in comedy? Yeah, but
in the end, it's just about the comedy, right?
Well, for me, that's the important part of the evening. But yeah, I don't know. I because I don't have a lot of controversy. I'm not out seeking controversy for the evening. I'm not out swaying anybody's vote, or I'm just as I say, my act is largely autobiographical. So I talk about politics or trying to keep up with the news, well enough to cast a halfway decent vote, which is not an easy trick at all anymore. I don't know about you, but I as a Democrat, I certainly woke up on Wednesday morning somewhat depressed, but frankly, it was almost offset by how happy I was that it was over. I could have my phone back for one thing. The robocalls were insane this time, and my mailbox would be stuffed every day with sometimes mailers identical, like the same mailer for the same candidate. There'd be 3 of them in my mailbox saying that they were the environmental candidate. Really? Because there's a tree in my mailbox right now.
Well, it's kind of funny. In our part of the country, in Wyoming, it's a very, very red state, but we get the Denver TV stations. And I didn't get a whole lot of mailers. We didn't get any robocalls here at all. But
wow, you didn't?
Oh no. But I will tell you one thing. Watching those Denver TV stations with back to back political commercials for 6 weeks. I woke up on Wednesday, kind of relieved myself just because I wouldn't have to watch political ads during football games anymore.
Yeah, no, it was horrible. It was, and they view it as seeing a little bit of football during political ads. You watch football?
Oh, I love football. I live for football.
I don't care. What are you watching? Like, who's your team then?
Oh well, it's funny. I'm in Gillette, Wyoming, but I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I grew up 50 miles outside of Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. I never care who wins a professional game, because to me, it's a whole ton of people paid a whole ton of money to play for cities they're not even from. Really, I've always felt if they want to make professional sports exciting, they should recruit the players the way they recruit people for jury duty. So you could just go out to a mailbox, and it would be like, well, I got to play. Don't you think that would be great?
It's funny you bring that up. I remember seeing a story, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Some guy that used to play for the Giants back in the 1950s got this letter, and it's exactly what it was. He got a letter from the New York Giants saying, "Hey, if you want to come play for us, we'd be glad to have you. We'll pay you $50 a week." And that's what it was back in the back as they say in the day. They would just send out letters to big high school and college players and try to get them to play.
Wow.
It certainly has lost its way from that, hasn't it?
I would think.
Yeah, oh yeah. So and now one of the other things we've seen a lot of female comedians making a big splash these days. I mean, you were one of the first ones. I mean, what do you think of this latest generation of female comics? I mean, like Amy Schumer and ladies like that.
Never seen her.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure she's great. Stand-up is a genderless job. It makes no difference. I mean, it probably was an issue for Phyllis Diller and Joan Rivers years ago. They were sort of pioneers and worked in this very male-dominated field and had to make a possibility for themselves to work. But by the time I came around, that was really not the case. It has not. I mean, it just has nothing to do with gender at all. Occasionally there will be some, some male performer that makes says something ridiculous about whether or not women are funny, and it has this big sort of ripple, sort of like in Music Man, was it trouble. But the truth is, it has nothing to do with it at all. I would even say that a person is funny or they're not funny, but the truth is, even that, it's entirely subjective. Some people like me, some people don't. Some people like somebody else, some people don't. Some people like some of what I say, but not all of what I say. It's funny, when I was growing up, Saturday Night Live was really, we remembered it to have been this very, very brilliant program, and it was. But, the truth is, there were maybe 2 or 3 really hysterically funny things on on Saturday Night Live every Saturday night. And as a viewer, that's what you were expecting. You were expecting those 2 or 3 really funny things, and you waited for it. And the fact that you waded through some chuffah that wasn't particularly funny or just, wasn't all that good didn't matter at all. You were waiting for those 2 or 3 really great things. And now we, look back and have this expectation that, every moment was hysterically funny. It really wasn't. And it's my show, on the other hand, every moment
Well,
every moment hysterically funny.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think the thing about Saturday Night Live, and I think you're absolutely right that the nostalgia kind of takes hold, and you think, wow, every segment from the Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi days was great, but some of those, I mean, they had as many clunkers as you see these days, and I think the nostalgia kind of takes hold, and you remember the good ones and you forget the bad ones. Yeah.
Well, it's nature's mercy. Nature has given us this really great thing, actually, which is that laughter gives you a great endorphin release, and the happy chemical in your brain, and I get to do this job where every night that I work, I'm with a crowd of people who've come out to laugh for the night, and I'm getting a contact. I have a theory that the entire country and world is in the midst of epidemic mental health problems right now, both diagnosed and undiagnosed, and there is nothing. It is the most mentally healthy thing you'll do. I don't say that people have to come out to see me, but they have to go out and see somebody, whether it's a funny movie or a play or even just a night out, laughing with friends. But you got to be. The key word there is out. You have to come, be with people, not on a silly computer and not necessarily even on a television screen. You got to look people in the eye and hug and handshake and laugh out loud with them.
Well, yeah, and I think we've lost a little bit of that. I mean, in this day and age, people are so used to text messaging and social media. They've kind of lost a little bit of that personal connection, and it's. I mean, I can't say enough how much of a different experience it is to see a live comedian in a comedy club or in a theater than just watching a YouTube clip or even watching it on TV. I mean, even with a 90-inch TV, it's not the same as being in that club and being with that crowd.
Yeah, it's true. I love the Three Stooges, and I watch them and really love them. But my kids and I went to the Three Stooges Film Festival one time. I was watching the same shorts that I've seen literally hundreds of times over the years. And when I watch them at home, I enjoy them, but I don't laugh. I just go, oh, I enjoy that. But watching with a crowd of people, we were part of waves of laughter. And again, seeing stuff that I had even seen many, many times before, and I would see stuff that I never even recognized as funny before, but when everybody else was laughing, I don't know how we got away with that one. Maybe it's nature making up for giving us the teenage years, but that laughter thing is pretty darn cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, if you're just joining us, we're talking with Paula Poundstone. She's appearing at Camplex over at the Heritage Center this Friday night, 8 o'clock. I don't want you to give away your entire act. I'm not going to be one of these morning shows that asks you to do a joke from your act. But could just give us a little bit of a preview of what we'll see Friday night?
I talk about raising a house full of kids and animals. I talk about keeping up with the news well enough to cast a halfway decent vote. I talk my favorite part of the night is just talking to the audience. I do the time-honored where you're from, what do you do for a living, and in this way, little biographies emerge, and I use that from which to set my sails. So no show's ever, they're all different. It's never the same.
Well, and I think that's a sign of a great comic, being able to work a crowd like that instead of just getting up there and doing, set up, punchline. Being able to
I have no memory, so I'm forced.
Well,
I have my short-term memory is it was never good to begin with, honestly, but now it is just shot to hell. I mean, sometimes I drive past our house, and my kids will be in the back of the car going, "You're driving past the house," and I turn and say, "Who the hell are you, and what are you doing in my car?" I have no memory anymore.
Oh, I'm with you there. I write everything down. I can remember numbers. Anything else, I always forget. I want to make sure we also talk a little bit about your CD. Of course, your CD is I Heart Jokes. Paula Tells Them in Boston. That was recorded in a legendary theater, by the way. It's just a great theater there in Boston. It's available on iTunes and CD Baby. Also, paulapoundstone.com, facebook.com/Paula Poundstone, twitter.com/Paula Poundstone. So I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're really looking forward to seeing you on Friday night over at Camplex. And I hope you enjoy Gillette. It really is a great city.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you next time you come around.
All right. Stay warm. Remember to wiggle your toes.
Oh, I'm wiggling them as we speak. It's freezing. Hey,
All
thanks
right,
a lot.
bye-bye.
Yep, bye-bye. And there you go. That was Paula Poundstone again over at Camplex Heritage Center this Friday night, starting at 8 o'clock. Tickets are $15 to $25. cam-plex.com for your tickets. It's going to be a fun show, and that was a fun interview. I love talking to comedians. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. News Talk 1270 KIML.
Listen every Tuesday morning at 9 for the Tuesday Morning Quarterbacks on the Don Carpenter Show. News Talk 1270 KIML. ML.